Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting broadcast. The NFC East report coming at you. Week 10 of the National Football League. Boy, was it a barn burner for the NFC East. And we're going to get started right off the bat. The Washington football team taking on the GOAT himself, the icon, Tom Brady. And the Washington football team came in scrappy, and they had something for Brady. They had nothing but revenge on their mind after what happened to them in the playoffs last year, before terrible Tom ripped the road all the way through the Super Bowl once again. At this time, Tampa Bay said, Bruce Arians himself said, we're preparing for T. Heineke this week. Sorry about that. We're preparing for T. Heineke this week. We weren't prepared for him in the playoffs. Well, I tell you what, T. Heineke was prepared for you this week. We're going to get right to it. Washington with the big victory over terrible Tom and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by a score of 29-19, and some interesting tidbits, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting tidbits. Washington with one of the most impressive back-breaking drives I've ever seen in the history of the National Football League. 21 plays, eating up 10 minutes and 26 seconds of clock for 80 yards and, by God, and a touchdown. You keep the ball out of Tom Brady's hands, he can't win the game, and that's exactly what the Washington football team did. Tom Brady, 23 of 34, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. What does that tell you? Washington had something for him this week. Those are extremely pedestrian numbers for the GOAT. Now, they might be impressive numbers for somebody like, we don't need to say about the guy in Baltimore, but Taylor Heineke, 26 of 32, dang near flawless. 256 yards, a touchdown, no picks. Honorable mention, the workhorse who, his yardage wasn't impressive, but 24 carries for Gibson. 64 yards and 2 touchdowns, only 2.7 yards a clip, but they never went away from it. They never went away from it, and it paid off for them. Congrats to the Washington football team who now increased their record to a whopping 3-6. Next we have up America's team. The Dallas Cowboys, the best team in the National Football League, taking on the Atlanta Falcons. And ladies and gentlemen, I was the first one that said, stop talking about the sky falling. Dallas finally had a come-to-Jesus moment against the Denver Broncos, and Denver made them pay the price. Denver was hyped. It happens. Sometimes you got to get slapped back into reality, and that's what happened. This week versus Matt Ryan, the Atlanta Falcons, and lovely Arlington, Texas, where the sprinklers are plenty and the grass is green. This week was the determination of whether or not last week was real or not, or was it a blip on the radar. And at a clip of 43-3, I think we got that answer. America's team came out and obliterated Dan Quinn's former squad, the Atlanta Falcons, in lovely Arlington, Texas, in Jerry World. Matt Ryan, 9 of 21 for 117 yards, 2 interceptions. Josh Rosen, 1 of 6, 14 yards and a pick. All 3 picks by the cornerbacks, 1 for each starting cornerback. Jordan Lewis, Trayvon Diggs, and Anthony Brown. Everybody loves Diggs, his 8th interception, league leading by far. But Jordan Lewis outplayed all the corners in this game. The passes, defense, everything Jordan Lewis did, he flew under. Jordan Lewis was best corner on the team today. today, but the way that this defense works together, and they go as the offense goes. If the offense is not kicking, the defense doesn't kick. And that's, you got to take the good with the bad on that, folks. That's just how it is. Moving on to the stats, Dak Prescott, near perfect. 24 of 31, 296 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a touchdown on the ground, 0 picks, and they took him out of the game early fourth quarter. Dallas had over 100 yards rushing on the ground. CeeDee Lamb, 6 catches for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the return of MG, Michael Gallup. 3 catches for 42 yards, and none more important than a 4th down strike on a toe-tap sideline at the 2-yard line. Honorable mention, Dorrance Armstrong, who had to step up. See, this is what people don't get. If you ain't been watching Dallas, they have yet to be at full strength. Major players out. Major. DeMarcus Lawrence, the best defensive player on the squad, hasn't played since week 1. This week, Randy Gregory, who had stepped up as our big sack guy, he was out. Next man up. Dorrance Armstrong comes in and the first player in NFL history to record a sack and a block punt in the same game. So, ladies and gentlemen, at a clip of 43-3, this was not the Dallas Cowboys' biggest win in history, unfortunately. But in 1980, the Cowboys did defeat the Seattle Seahawks 51-7. So they were close. They also took their foot off the gas. Now we move to Fly, Eagles, fly. The Philadelphia Eagles going against the Denver Broncos. Denver come in on those horses. And they was riding high. We just beat Dallas. We just made the blueprint to beat Dallas. And they went in there, and Philadelphia went in there and whooped their ass. The Philadelphia Eagles, the last 3 weeks, ladies and gentlemen, the number 1 offense in the National Football League. I realize 3 weeks is nothing, but regardless, maybe they're getting better. A whopping 4-6. By the way, Dallas increased to 7-2. Well in control of the NFC East, and that's why right here it is Victory Polo Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to Blogging the Boys and RJ Ocho. Victory Polo on right here, ladies and gentlemen. Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts, 16 of 23 for 178 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Very pedestrian numbers once again for Hurts, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Because Jordan Howard, 12 carries for 83 yards, and Boston Scott, 11 carries for 81, pounding the ball in there. Hurts' favorite target was Devonta Smith, 4 receptions for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Eagles, 30-13 over the Denver Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater, 22 of 36, 226 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Very pedestrian day for Mr. Bridgewater. The Philadelphia Eagles trying to stay in the hunt in the NFC East. Now with them expanding the playoffs an extra team, maybe the Eagles can find a way to pull in that wild card. The New York Football Giants was on a bye week. And now the big dilemma, ladies and gentlemen. The big dilemma. Who gets the Brood Award when everybody played so well? I got a little surprise for you. We're going to swerve you this week. The Brood Award this week. Right here. Right here. The Brood Award. It's going to go to the team that sat at home and watched every team in their division pull away by a half a game on them. The New York Football Giants are the first team in NFL history to get the Brood Award while they're sitting at home. Boy, they stinky. And the only way to get that stink off the New York Football Giants, who lost half a game to everybody in the division because they sat at home this week, is by slapping Brute Splash on by Fabergé on them. They slap it on them. It's the only way they're going to smell better. Now, Super Jock last week, he won't hit no much. Only 1 out of 3 predictions correct. Now, Super Jock says this week, it's going to be a different ball game. Now, Super Jock, we're going to go with the Washington football team headed out to Carolina. Cam Newton, we're back on Cam watch, ladies and gentlemen. Cam Newton got in there and ran one in from a yard, and he looked right in the camera and said, "I'm back." Guess what, Cam? My big ass could fall forward for a yard for a touchdown. You did nothing special. Anyway, Washington at Carolina. P.J. Walker and Cam Newton ready to host those scrappy Washington football teamers. Now, Super Jock, if you make this one, you think the Washington football team is going to win this game. If you miss, you think Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers are going to pull this one out. Oh, a hard miss. The Super Jock looking that Carolina's going to take that one against Washington. Now we move on. Dallas at Kansas City. Ooh, a game with a lot of ramifications to it. The resurging Chiefs, who just beat up on Las Vegas, taking on not even arguably, taking on the best team in the National Football League. We'll see what happens. Super Jock, if you hit it, Dallas wins. If you miss, you think Kansas City's going to upset the boys. Upset America's team. Super Jock. Super Jock goes with the Dallas Cowboys. He says America's team is going to walk into Kansas City and walk out 8-2. Philly taking on the New Orleans Saints in the worst crap hole in all the National Football League, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Saints marching in to hostile territory. The worst fans in the business. The most grungy and grummy and drunken fans in all of football are in Philadelphia. Anyway, Super Jock, if you make it, Philly's going to win. If you miss, the New Orleans Saints are going to win. Let's see what Super Jock thinks. Oh, and a surprise! Super Jock says, "Fly, Eagles, fly!" That the Eagles are going to defeat Trevor Siemian and the New Orleans Saints right there in Philly. And last but not least, the New York Football Giants. The New York Football Giants taking on terrible Tom Brady after a hard loss. Oh, Super Jock, what do you think about this one? If you hit it, you think the New York Giants are going to get 2 in a row after Washington's loss on terrible Tom. If you miss, you think Tampa Bay's going to wrap this one up. Super Jock. And Super Jock clearly believes that terrible Tom is going to destroy. He is going to destroy the New York Football Giants. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. All the predictions have been made. Here we are going into week 11, the final stretch right now in the National Football League. Remember, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, click that little bell so that everything I do, whether it be football, wrestling, you name it, in the life of me, Brandon Bailey, a.k.a. Preston Quinn, hit that notification bell, man. Tell your friends about it. Get the subscribers up. Let's make something out of this whole deal. This is where we come to have fun for the National Football League and the NFC East. Have a great one, folks.